Ever feel like your bank is kind of playing a game of financial Jenga with your accounts? Well, today we're talking about something that can make that feeling a reality, especially if you're thinking about bankruptcy.
Yeah, we're diving into cross-collateralization agreements.
Right, those often overlooked clauses that can have some surprising consequences.
Absolutely.
Our guide for this journey is The Complete Book on Bankruptcy by Peter Francis Geraci.
A true authority in the field.
He founded Geraci Law and knows a thing or two about navigating these tricky financial waters. So you ready to unlock the secrets of these cross-collateralization agreements?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get started. You might be surprised to learn just how common these agreements actually are
Oh, they're everywhere.
and how they can impact your finances, especially if bankruptcy is on the horizon.
Definitely. The thing is, these cross-collateralization clauses, they're often hidden in the fine print of those long, complicated agreements we all sign without really reading.
Oh yeah, those agreements, we've all been there. Just click accept and hope for the best.
Exactly. And what they do is they essentially give financial institutions, whether it's a big bank or your local credit union, the power to take money from any account you have with them if you default on a loan.
Wait, hold on. So even if I just miss a payment on, say, a small personal loan, they could drain my entire savings account.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's how it often works.
That just doesn't seem right, does it? Like, shouldn't there be some proportionality?
You'd think so, but the agreement, it often doesn't make a distinction between the size of the default or the type of account.
Wow. Okay, so then what about joint accounts? Like if I have a joint account with my spouse and I miss a payment, could they take their money too?
That's where it gets even trickier because, yes, they often can go after funds in joint accounts, even if the other person has nothing to do with the debt. So yeah, your spouse's savings could be wiped out because you fell behind on a credit card payment.
That's a scary thought. And I always thought, credit unions were different, more member-focused, right?
I know, a lot of people think that. But while they may have a different structure, many credit unions, they also use these cross-collateralization agreements. And since so many people have their paychecks directly deposited into their credit union accounts, the consequences can be even worse.
So basically, no one's really safe from these things, huh?
It's important to be aware of them, that's for sure. And Peter Francis Geraci, in his book, he actually talks about a client, a guy named John, who got caught in this exact situation.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, John, he had a personal loan and his checking account at his credit union. He also had a savings plan there. When he filed for bankruptcy, the credit union, they saw his savings as collateral for the loan and just took everything to cover the balance.
That's awful. So he lost all his savings just because he had that loan?
Yep. John's story is a prime example of how easily this would happen. He thought his savings were safe, separate from the loan, but that cross-collateralization clause, it gave the credit union the right to take it all.
That's a real cautionary tale. Makes you wonder how many other Johns are out there totally unaware of this risk.
It's a lot more common than people realize, which is why it's so important to be informed and understand these agreements.
Right. So I guess the question is, what can people do to protect themselves? I mean, should we all just start keeping our money under the mattress?
Huh. Well, there are definitely better options than that. One of the most important things you can do is to open a new bank account at a completely different institution, somewhere where you don't have any existing loans or credit cards.
So like a clean slate.
Yeah, exactly. This new account basically acts as a barrier, protecting your funds from being taken because of debts you have at other institutions. And once you have that new account set up, you want to switch your direct deposit instructions with your employer so your paycheck goes straight to that safe account.
Okay, that makes sense. Cut off the flow of money to the old account where that cross-collateralization agreement is lurking.
Right, and it's also really important to stop any automatic payments or deductions that are going to that old institution. Things like automatic bill payments or loan repayments that are linked to that account, you want to move those over to your new safe account as well.
Got it. So what about any money that's still left in the old account? Should we try to transfer it over to the new one?
It's actually better to let the old account run down to zero. Don't put any more money into it and try to avoid making any transactions that could reactivate that cross-collateralization clause. And another thing, if you're on a joint account with someone, especially if they're not involved with your debts, it's really important to take your name off that account before filing for bankruptcy to protect their money.
Wow, I never realized how much these cross-collateralization agreements could affect someone's financial well-being. It's a real wake-up call to read the fine print and understand what you're signing, especially when it comes to banks and financial institutions.
You're absolutely right. It's amazing how many people are completely in the dark about these clauses until it's too late. And that's why it's so important to understand your rights and know where to get expert advice. Geraci law has been a real lifeline for so many people facing these kinds of challenges.
They really have. I mean, their reputation is outstanding. Over 50,000 5-star reviews helping clients for over 40 years.
That's right. And their team of attorneys, they have over 600 years of combined experience in bankruptcy law, and they've helped over 900,000 people. They really know what they're doing.
And what's really great is they offer some amazing free resources. People can access a free non-bankruptcy credit counseling course on infotapes.com, which can be so helpful if you're struggling with debt.
Right. And they also offer free consultations to discuss your individual situation and help you figure out the best way forward.
That's fantastic. Now, before we move on, we want to share a quick message.
This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. Attorney advertising. Past results do not guarantee similar outcomes. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Geraci law or any of its attorneys.
The things we're talking about today are general in nature and may not apply to your specific situation. For personal advice about your finances or bankruptcy options, it's best to talk directly with a qualified attorney.
Geraci law provides free consultations to help you make the right decisions. You can contact them today to learn more.
So we've talked about how important it is to understand these cross-collateralization agreements and how they can impact your finances during bankruptcy. But what are some other key things people should keep in mind as they're going through this process?
It's about recognizing that bankruptcy, it's not just a legal process, it's more like a financial restructuring. And whenever you're restructuring something, well, you want to make sure you're protecting what you have, your assets, as much as you can.
Right, it's like going through a whole financial reorganization. You want to come out on the other side in the best shape possible.
Exactly. And a big part of that reorganization is identifying anything that could threaten your assets, any potential risks, and that's where understanding these cross-collateralization agreements comes in.
So besides opening a new bank account and moving our money, what else can people do to, prepare for bankruptcy? Is there anything that can help minimize the impact of these agreements?
One thing that people often forget is the power of negotiation. Before you even file for bankruptcy, it's always worth reaching out to your creditors, the people you owe money to, and seeing if you can work out a payment plan or maybe even a settlement.
So being proactive, trying to find a solution which everyone can agree on.
Exactly. It's about taking charge of the situation instead of letting it control you. And remember, you don't have to go through this alone. There are professionals, like the folks at Geraci Law, who can help you through every step of the way.
Speaking of Geraci Law, in their book, The Complete Book on Bankruptcy, they talk a lot about exemptions. What exactly are those, and how can they help protect assets during bankruptcy?
Exemptions are basically legal protections that allow you to shield certain assets, keep them safe from your creditors during bankruptcy. The thing is, these exemptions, they're different in every state, so you really need to know the specific rules for where you live.
So they're like a legal shield to protect your stuff.
That's a great way to put it. They're designed to make sure people filing for bankruptcy aren't left with absolutely nothing, that they can still maintain some kind of basic standard of living while they're working towards a fresh start.
So what kind of things are usually covered under these exemptions?
Well, some common ones include a certain amount of equity in your home, a vehicle up to a certain value, personal belongings like clothes and furniture, and tools of your trade if you need them for your job.
So even if you're going through bankruptcy, you're not starting from scratch.
Right, you still get to keep some essential things. But it's important to remember that these exemptions can get pretty complicated, and the rules can be really different depending on where you live. That's why it's so important to talk to an experienced bankruptcy attorney. They can help you figure out how these exemptions apply to your specific situation.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener. I had no idea how much was involved in bankruptcy, especially these cross-collateralization agreements and what they could mean for people.
It just goes to show that knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances. The more you understand about how things work, the better prepared you'll be to deal with any challenges that come up and protect your own interests.
So if someone's struggling financially and thinking about bankruptcy, what's the most important thing they should do?
First, don't panic. It's tough, but there's help out there. And second, talk to an expert as soon as possible. A good bankruptcy attorney can look at your situation, explain your options, and guide you towards the best course of action.
And that includes understanding how these cross-collateralization agreements might affect them personally, right?
Absolutely. Knowing about these agreements is crucial for anyone thinking about bankruptcy. It's about being informed, being proactive, and making the smartest choices for your financial future.
What are some things people should watch out for in their bank agreements to see if they might have one of these cross-collateralization clauses?
Look for any language that seems to link your accounts together. Anything that suggests the bank can use money from one account to cover a debt in another. Phrases like security interest or set-off rights are often red flags.
So we need to become expert fine print detectives.
Exactly. The more aware you are, the better off you'll be.
And if all else fails, there's no shame in asking for help from an expert.
Definitely not. Geraci Law, with all their experience and dedication to helping people through tough times, they're a fantastic resource. Their free consultations can be incredibly helpful for anyone who's unsure about their options.
That's great to hear. So, for those of us who maybe aren't facing bankruptcy right now but still want to be smart about our money, what are some things we can learn from today's discussion?
I think the main takeaway is to really understand any financial agreements you sign, whether it's with a bank, a credit card company, a lender, anyone. Read that fine print, ask questions, and if anything's unclear, don't be shy about asking for clarification.
It's all about being an informed consumer, right?
Exactly. It's your money, your future. You deserve to know how things work.
And if anyone wants to learn more about bankruptcy or get some personalized advice, those free resources and consultations from Geraci Law are a great place to start.
I agree. They've helped so many people take control of their finances and get through the complexities of bankruptcy.
Well, we've covered a lot today, from these cross-collateralization agreements to the importance of exemptions and just managing your money wisely. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
I think it's important to remember that everyone runs into financial trouble at some point. It happens. And asking for help, well, that's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
That's so true. It's easy to feel ashamed or embarrassed when you're struggling financially, but sometimes reaching out for help, that's the first step to getting back on track.
Exactly. And there are great organizations out there, like Jurisy Law, that are there help. No judgment, just support. They can help people understand their options, their rights, and all those legal details of bankruptcy.
I think that's one of the biggest things we've learned today, just how important knowledge is. The more you know about those financial agreements, your rights as a consumer, and what resources are available, the better you'll be able to deal with challenges and make smart decisions.
Couldn't agree more. Being financially literate, it's important for everyone, no matter how much money you make or where you come from. It's about being in control of your own financial well-being and setting yourself up for a better future.
Well said. We hope this has given our listeners some valuable information about cross-collateralization agreements and how to protect themselves, especially if they're thinking about bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy, it's not the end. It can be a new beginning, a chance to restructure your finances and start fresh.
And if you're going through tough times or considering bankruptcy, remember those qualified professionals at Geraci Law. They can help you understand the legal system and make decisions that are best for you. You don't have to do this alone.
There's always a path to a brighter financial future. It all starts with taking that first step and getting the information and support you need.
Thanks for joining us today on this exploration of cross-collateralization agreements. We hope you found it helpful and empowering.
It was great to be here and share these insights.
But before we go, a quick reminder, this is just for informational purposes and shouldn't be considered legal advice. Attorney advertising. Past results don't guarantee similar outcomes. Listening doesn't create an attorney-client relationship with Geraci Law or any of its attorneys. We're talking in general terms here, so what we've discussed might not apply to your specific situation. The best thing to do if you need advice about your finances or bankruptcy is to talk to a qualified attorney directly.
Geraci Law offers free consultations to help you make those informed decisions. Get in touch with them today to learn more.
Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.